as long as 60 to 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And so they have technology supposedly that's between 1,000 and 5,000 years ahead of anything that we can even imagine. So they're just sitting on it while we have oceans bleeding with oil because, it's the money thing and the power thing.
Well, we need to be controlled. We need to be controlled.
Exactly.
Remember that, to come back to what you said earlier, we're a slave planet full of slaves that are everything on this planet, the entire industry and infrastructure that we believe is this civilization on Earth is actually there to support the mining activities on this planet. Yeah. The mining of the minerals that we're getting out of the ground, and most of those minerals are going off this world. They're going off this planet.
Yes.
And we're using a small fraction of it for so-called industry and technology and lifestyle and building and all that. That's just a fraction of it. The rest of it, and especially the gold, is going off this planet. Well,
they took the gold standard away in '73, I think, and the gold just kind of vanished.
Yeah.
All of Fort Knox was emptied out, and all of the gold reserves, nobody has done an accounting on it, but nobody can account for it because they don't know where any of it is.
Yeah.
So we know that everything is being manipulated, and the money and the is being literally vacuumed out of the economy. So a little bit of a concern for most of us might be what happens when us useless eaters run out of money to be bled from. They've got vaccines to kind of create diseases to wipe us out, but those aren't very fast.
Yeah, no, that's not working either, but for some reason or another.
Well, maybe we have some good guys on our side.
Yeah. But I believe that our discoveries that are linked now showing the frequency thing and as a source of energy, and it's spectacular. And hopefully, I'm going to see you when I come to California. Hopefully, you're going to come to my presentation there.
You're going to be in Sacramento on September 5th, aren't you?
I believe so. Yeah.
Well, I will look that up and make an effort to be there and to meet you because I love your work. I think you're way ahead on the cutting edge, and I think it's really important stuff that you're doing that needs to be supported.
Well, I like to get away from the airy-fairy. I mean, it's important to be spiritually connected and understand, the sacred geometry and the higher dimensions and the fourth and fifth dimension and the kundalini and all that and these wonderful angelic higher beings and all that. But, it's great. But at the same time, you've got to bring it back to, reality. Because right now, people are desperate. People are jobless. People are homeless. People live in misery. They're unhappy. They're angry. And you need to be able to pull this together and give the people an answer that they understand and can resonate with, is that you're telling them the truth, that you're not making stuff up, that you're telling them something that they can really embrace and say, I understand this, it resonates with me, and this is something that I can take forward and make sense of it so that I can realize where we've come from as a species and where we're heading through this manipulation and what it is I can do about it to change this misery that we live in. Yeah, because, let's face it, there is no happy or outcome or happy solution to the financial system or the system that we live in on this planet today. There is no happy outcome, period.
Right.
That's it. So what are we going to do? Do we just carry on? Do we just carry on marching forward to the beat of the drum of the Illuminati and the control groups and the slave drivers? Or do we say, okay, well, we need to start pushing in a different direction. We don't want to start conflict or war because that hasn't brought us anywhere. But very slowly and gently start moving in a slightly different direction. And waking up and realizing that if we just gently push this thing, just like a giant ship, if you keep, exerting a little bit of pressure on the one ship, slowly but surely it'll go off course.
Interesting. Now, do you have any ideas about how that could be done as far as maybe forming intentional communities, or what's your vision for that? I know there's a Venus project and all kinds of interesting things that are being proposed. Do you have any gut feeling about what might be a positive direction to take for us?
Yeah, I do. I started a consciousness movement, I suppose you can call it, called contributionism. And I really borrowed this from the ancient civilizations, unconscious of it when I did it, and adapted it, looked at all the existing models that we've had, Because if we agree that every single socio-political system we've had as the human race has failed us, which I believe is quite evident and quite obvious.
Yes.
So here we are. We're pretty screwed. Everything has failed us. We've got to put something into place that is completely different, something so different and so radical that we have not tried it yet. We can't go back and try and rehash fascism or rehash communism or rehash capitalism. They don't work.
None of them work.
So we got to propose something completely different. And I propose the system that I call contributionism, where you take money out of the equation, which is the tool of enslavement. By taking money out of the equation, you immediately remove the concept of barter or trade. That must go as well. Anything that has exchange or attaches value to anything must be completely removed from the system. And then at the same time, you need to explain to people that what it is that people need to start to get involved in is contributing, and I call it contributionism because it's a social structure where everybody contributes what it is that they're passionate about or good at, naturally God-given talents. They contribute to their community to the best of their ability for the greater benefit of all. Not, well, if I give this to you, what do I get in return? That's the wrong, we've been down this road for too long and it doesn't work.
It doesn't, no.
So it's a conscious movement that everybody contributes to the greater benefit of all in whatever community or society they live in. And this is a slight departure from some of the movements that I've seen out there on the internet and so forth, where they say we must go back to living off the land and everybody must grow vegetables and all this. That's also the wrong way to go.
Right.
Because rocket scientists don't want to grow vegetables. Okay.
Right.
Rocket scientists must do rocket science, and farmers must farm.
Right.
And
I like
shoemakers must design shoes, and guys that design free energy must work on free energy, and guys that design green cities must design new green cities, and so it must go. This is how it works.
Yes.
Don't force people to grow vegetables, because not everybody is good at that.
Right. Yes, I've tried my hand a few times, and it's not always a winning proposition.
No. And yet there are some people that do it so comfortably and so easily.
Well, yes, of course. And there may have been a time when our grandparents were farmers and they were adept at farming and milking cattle and things like that. But those days are over. They cannot be gone back to, except maybe in small circles of people who enjoy that and love the ranch and love the cattle. And allow them to walk freely and don't injure them or cause them pain or give them chemicals like Monsanto's RBGH or whatever it is.
That's a whole nother can of worms you're opening there. The control of food on this planet. I mean, it is just absolutely, it's absurd. And most people are completely oblivious and unaware of the attack and the control of food supply on this planet.
Oh, absolutely. And the genetically modified food and the nanobacteria that they're using on meats and things, I mean, it goes beyond anything we can even conceive of. It's a train wreck headed for a brick wall.
Right. Now, just to come back to the question you asked, what do we do? So I propose this concept called contributionism. But you can't just start it by a little, somewhere hidden in the mountains, little communities that are self-sufficient in that, because you're not going back to Stone Age, you're not going back to living in caves, you're not going back to the Dark Ages. We're moving forward with technology beyond belief. What contributionism brings to the table is an absolute explosion in abundance in every possible field that you can imagine, from science and technology, rocket science, to free energy, to the production of foods, to the growth of communities, to the control and the happiness and the growth and explosion of arts and culture. Every level of societal structure just explodes in abundance. Now, this sounds a bit utopian to people that have never contemplated this or don't really know what I'm talking about. But believe me, after 5 years of research into this, the more I study it, the more I work on it, the more abundant and obvious it is. It is spectacular.